assume that it is going to evolve at some other point. You're ready right now to do this. So thanks for the question. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you had mentioned Trump shrinking national monuments and shrinking public lands, and my question surrounds conservation.
Yeah.
What would you do to protect our national heritage and also things like the Endangered Species Act, which is getting strict?
So in El Paso, Texas, we are in the Chihuahuan Desert. We're at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. The base elevation in my hometown is 4,000 feet. We're right next to the Rio Grande River. It's extraordinarily beautiful. If you haven't been there, I welcome you to visit us. There are 7,000 acres within this called Castner Range. Undisturbed, beautiful, and get this, they hold the recorded history of human habitation in my hometown going back 10,000 years ago. The cave and the rock art describes their first impressions of a place that we now call the US-Mexico border, but a land that had no borders at the time. They're literal impressions and they're metaphysical impressions. It's beautiful. That land might otherwise have been developed if the community did not work together to protect it. And I prevailed upon the Obama administration to designate it as a national monument, and for probably very good reasons they chose not to. So we had to go to Plan B within the Trump administration. As a member of the House Armed Services Committee, and because the land is currently owned by the Department of the Army, I worked with the Republican majority on the committee to insert within the National Defense Authorization Act a provision that protects that land in perpetuity. And not only did it pass the committee, not only did we get it inserted in the Senate version and in the consensus bill that came out of that, it was signed into law again by Donald J. Trump. Now, he may not know that was in the bill that he signed, but nonetheless, those 7,000 acres are there. And so I hope I'm demonstrating that we'll work with anyone to make sure that we advance this country's common agenda. There are 2,000 miles of the US-Mexico border. Most of that is the Texas-Mexico border. It's some of the most pristine riparian areas that you'll see anywhere in the country. When you get down to the lower Rio Grande Valley, you have a migration of bird species throughout the Western Hemisphere that congregate there unlike any other place. That wildlife, our ability to access the river, is all compromised by a 2,000-mile, 30-foot-high wall that will cost you $30 billion, which, by the way, will cause you, and this will be done in your name, to take somebody's ranch, somebody's farm, somebody's property to build a wall that we don't need. 400,000, más o menos, apprehensions at the southern border last year. May sound like a lot. 1.6 million apprehensions in the second year of the George W. Bush administration. There's a great film coming out called The River and the Wall that documents what we are about to lose. So I'll start at home in Texas and make sure that we do not sacrifice this land. I'll protect the lands that are already up for conservation, and where we can, let's expand it. Now, listen, it's not just the best thing to do for people like me who like to go backpacking with their kids in the Gila Wilderness or the Pecos or the Lincoln National Forest. It's also the right thing to do for the planet. If we're going to capture some of this carbon that's in the air, we cannot afford to cut down any more of our wilderness. In fact, we're going to have to expand it here and across the world. So you've got my commitment to be an ardent defender of and a proponent for these national protected lands. Thanks for asking the question.